2024 Major News Report 1. From July 15 to 18, 2024, the third plenary session of the 20th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China was held in Beijing. The meeting reviewed and passed the decision on further deepening reform and advancing Chinese-style modernization. This decision is seen as a significant political move by General Secretary Xi Jinping in his third term. Through this plenary session, Xi Jinping once again emphasized the importance of reform, continuing to promote the governance model he has advocated since taking office, with Chinese-style modernization as the core concept. This governance model blends some ideas from the Cultural Revolution era with modern development goals, showing the continuity of his political ideology. The plenary session explicitly stated that by 2029, the 80th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China, a series of reform tasks should be completed. By 2035, China aims to fully establish a high-level socialist modern market economy system. These goals not only demonstrate the direction of China's future development but also imply possible political groundwork for Xi Jinping's pursuit of a fourth term. 2024 Major News Report 2. On November 5, 2024, the United States held its presidential election, with Republican candidate Donald Trump defeating Democratic candidate Joe Biden to become the 47th President of the United States. In this election, Trump ran on the slogan of "Rebuilding America" and proposed several conservative policy initiatives, including strengthening border security, reducing immigration, revitalizing American manufacturing, and redefining foreign trade and international relations. Trump won in all key swing states, ensuring his electoral victory. This victory marks a significant shift in the American political landscape and signals the continuation of Trump's "America First" policies. His re-election is expected to have a profound impact on global geopolitics, the international economic order, and global security, drawing widespread attention from the international community. 2024 Major News Report 3. In 2024, immigration policies in several countries began to tighten. Major immigration destinations, such as the United States, Canada, and Australia, announced adjustments to their policies in response to population growth pressures and intensified competition in domestic job markets. In the United States, the core of immigration policy focused on strengthening control over the U.S.-Mexico border, with an emphasis on addressing illegal immigration. By December, the number of border crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border dropped to 44,000, an 80% decrease from the peak in May of the previous year, reflecting the effect of stricter border policies. Canada adjusted its immigration targets, lowering its goal of accepting 500,000 new immigrants by 2025 to 350,000 in order to ease the pressure of population growth on social resources. Meanwhile, Australia announced that it would limit the number of international students to 270,000 next year, further reducing population inflows. These policy changes reflect the tightening of immigration policies in major receiving countries as they face economic slowdowns and increasing population pressures, aiming to mitigate the impact on local social security systems. 2024 Major News Report 4. On September 13, 2024, the 14th National People's Congress Standing Committee held its 11th session and passed an important decision, marking the gradual implementation of a progressive retirement age policy in China. The decision included two core elements. First, over the next 15 years, the statutory retirement age for male employees will be delayed from 60 to 63, for female employees from 50 to 55, and for female cadres from 55 to 58. Second, starting January 1, 2025, the minimum number of years of contribution to the basic pension scheme required for workers to qualify for pensions will gradually increase from the current 15 years to 20 years. The main purpose of delaying retirement and extending pension contribution years is to ease the pressure on China's pension payments. According to a report by the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences in 2019, China's social pension fund may face depletion by 2035. This situation is one of the profound social impacts brought about by China's rapidly aging population. With the slowdown in economic growth, the Chinese government will face greater challenges in addressing the various social issues brought about by an aging society. The implementation of this policy aims to balance the pressure on the social security system but has also sparked widespread public discussion about labor rights and governance of an aging society. 2024 Major News Report 5. On September 24, 2024, the State Council Information Office of China held a press conference where Pan Gongsheng, governor of the People's Bank of China, announced a series of policies to support economic development. These policies included monetary measures such as lowering interest rates and reserve requirements, introducing new monetary tools to stimulate the stock market, and allowing local governments to use special bonds for land reserves. Subsequently, on October 12, Finance Minister Lan Foan announced a major debt reduction plan at another press conference, which involves using 10 trillion yuan in fiscal resources over the next 5 years to replace local government debts. Lan emphasized that debt reduction does not eliminate debt but rather delays the repayment deadlines of local debt through debt swaps to alleviate current fiscal pressure. On October 17, the Ministry of Housing and Urban-Rural Development also held a press conference to announce the implementation of a nationwide plan for the renovation of urban villages, including the provision of 1 million units for monetized resettlement. The goal is to stimulate the real estate market and improve residents' housing conditions. Although the Chinese government hopes to boost economic recovery with these policies, market responses have been tepid. As of now, these policies have not shown significant results, highlighting the complexity of the current economic situation and the challenges in policy implementation. 2024 Major News Report 6. In 2024, the Chinese People's Liberation Army, PLA, continued its anti-corruption campaign, resulting in the downfall of several senior military officers, including former Defense Minister Li Shangfu and Wei Fenghe. The anti-corruption storm originated from a corruption scandal within the Rocket Force, starting in July 2023. Multiple high-ranking officials from the Rocket Force, including former Commander Li Yuchao, former Deputy Commanders Lu Guangbin and Zhang Zhenzhong, were investigated. Over the past year, the anti-corruption campaign gradually expanded to the wider PLA system, leading to ongoing instability within the military. On November 28, 2024, the director of the PLA Political Work Department, Miao Hua, was also suspended from his post due to an investigation, reflecting that personnel changes at the top levels of the PLA continue. While the anti-corruption campaign is intended to strengthen military discipline and eliminate internal corruption, it has also highlighted the incomplete control President Xi Jinping has over the military. This situation poses challenges to the PLA's command structure and adds uncertainty to China's defense and military reforms. 2024 Major News Report 7. In 2024, several local governments in China carried out a cross-regional enforcement campaign known as offshore fishing, targeting businesses and entrepreneurs from other regions. Zhejiangziwu became one of the focal points of this operation, where over 13,000 bank accounts were frozen by out-of-town police, involving a sum of up to 3.2 billion yuan. Meanwhile, 83 executives from listed companies were investigated as part of cross-regional law enforcement, and 806 listed companies faced financial crises and delisting risks. A similar situation unfolded in Guangzhou, where over 10,000 private entrepreneurs were subjected to cross-regional enforcement. This offshore fishing is widely seen as a means to raise funds by fining businesses, with local governments relying on these non-tax revenues to fill their budget gaps. In the first 11 months of the year, local governments nationwide generated 3.7 trillion yuan in non-tax revenues, a 17% increase compared to the previous year. In October and November alone, non-tax revenues surged by 40%, signaling the severe dependence of local governments on such unusual financial sources. This phenomenon reflects how some local governments are resorting to methods like offshore fishing to make up for budget shortfalls in the face of fiscal pressure, but it has raised widespread concerns about the rule of law and the business environment. These short-term measures may erode market confidence and pose a potential threat to the long-term development of the local economy. 2024 Major News Report 8. In 2024, indiscriminate attacks occurred frequently, shocking the nation. On November 11, a serious incident occurred at the Zhuhai Sports Center when an off-road vehicle crashed into a crowd, resulting in 35 deaths and 43 injuries. The driver, Fan Weiqiu, was sentenced to death on December 27, with the sentence quickly carried out, reflecting the judicial system's firm stance on such incidents. Similar indiscriminate attacks took place throughout the year, including at a Walmart in Shanghai and a public school in Wuxi. These incidents have raised public concerns about social safety. Analysts suggest that with China's economy continuing to decline, dissatisfaction in society is building up. In some extreme individuals, this dissatisfaction transforms into violent behavior, reflecting the governance challenges facing China. The current social situation has been likened to a pressure cooker, implying potential crises and risks. How to alleviate economic pressure and improve social sentiment has become an important task for the government, as preventing similar tragedies is an urgent task. 2024 Major News Report 9. On November 8, 2024, an event known as the Zhengzhou Night Ride drew widespread attention in Hunan Province. That evening, approximately 200,000 young people, mostly university students, spontaneously cycled from Zhengzhou to Kaifeng. This event had no clear social demands and was simply an activity organized by the youth, but its large scale and high participation stunned society. Analysts believe this event reflects two deeper issues. First, despite the Chinese Communist Party's increasing control over society in recent years, the occurrence of this action shows that there are gaps in some aspects of its social governance. Under strict social control, 200,000 young people were still able to gather and carry out this event, suggesting that control has not been fully effective. Second, the event demonstrates the rebellious spirit of Chinese youth under pressure. Despite various social pressures and restrictions, they dared to pursue their own interests and freedom, highlighting the new generation's desire for individual expression and freedom of action. The Zhengzhou Night Ride is not just a cycling event, it serves as a mirror to contemporary Chinese society, reflecting the attitudes of the younger generation towards the present and their hopes for the future. The impact of this event may continue, warranting further observation and research. 2024 Major News Report 10. In 2024, several incidents involving foreign nationals in China occurred, sparking widespread attention and discussion. On June 10, a violent event took place at Beishan Park in Jilin City, where a local man from Jilin stabbed 4 teachers from Cornell University in the U.S. Less than 2 weeks later, on June 24, a similar incident occurred in Suzhou, where a Chinese man attacked a mother and son with a knife on a school bus at a Japanese school in Suzhou, injuring them. The school bus guide, Hu Yuping, died while protecting the students. Then, on September 18, another tragic event occurred in Shenzhen, where a 10-year-old Japanese boy was attacked by a Chinese man on his way to school, suffering severe injuries and dying from them. These attacks have sparked broad discussions on China's public security issues. Some analysts suggest that these cases reflect a deterioration in public security, especially the frequent occurrence of violent attacks on foreign nationals, revealing social instability and management loopholes. Additionally, these incidents have highlighted certain issues in China's foreign propaganda, particularly in the guidance of negative emotions and nationalism education, where certain extreme viewpoints may be amplified. This situation is referred to as the flower of evil blooming, meaning the accumulation of certain social emotions and hostile sentiments towards foreign ethnic groups. These incidents not only reflect the complexity of security issues but also present serious challenges to China's social management and international cultural exchanges. How to effectively curb violent events and promote social stability and inclusiveness has become a pressing issue. 2024 Major News Report 11. In recent years, Western countries have responded to China's overcapacity issue, particularly in the electric vehicle, steel, and aluminum sectors. The US and the EU have successively imposed tariffs, and in 2024, China's electric vehicles face even harsher trade barriers. In August, the US announced that it would raise tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles from 25% to 100%, while the EU also announced in September a 35% countervailing duty on Chinese electric vehicles. These measures are primarily aimed at addressing the impact of Chinese overcapacity on the global market, especially the price fluctuations in electric vehicles and metals, as markets in Western countries begin to feel the competitive pressure from China. Related international political dynamics also include political turmoil in South Korea. On December 3, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol declared an emergency martial law in a nationwide TV address, citing the need to protect South Korea from the North Korean threat. After the martial law was imposed, the South Korean military locked down the National Assembly and arrested several members of parliament, but 6 hours later, the South Korean parliament passed a resolution to revoke the martial law and impeach Yoon. However, South Korea's political situation did not stabilize, as political struggles between the ruling and opposition parties remained intense. Following this, South Korea's parliament impeached Prime Minister Han Duck-soo and initiated an impeachment investigation against Deputy Prime Minister Choi Sang-mok, causing continued political instability. These events reflect global and regional political and economic instability, including changes in international trade policies and intense domestic political fluctuations, both of which could impact countries' performances and interactions in global affairs. 2024 Major News Report 12. In recent years, the Hong Kong government has intensified its crackdown on pro-democracy figures, particularly after the implementation of the Basic Law Article 23 legislation, which has further exacerbated social tensions and political instability in Hong Kong. In March 2024, the Hong Kong Legislative Council passed the legislation of Article 23 of the Basic Law. This provision grants the Hong Kong government greater power, allowing the arrest and suppression of dissidents on charges such as treason, secession, incitement to rebellion, and theft of state secrets. The implementation of this legislation means the Hong Kong government can restrict freedom of speech and assembly on a broader scale, especially targeting pro-democracy figures who oppose the government's stance. In July 2024, the new legislation began to take effect, and the first case following this was the prosecution of pro-democracy activist Zhou Xintong for inciting hatred against the Chinese government. This case became a landmark event in the shift in Hong Kong's political climate, showcasing the government's harsh crackdown on dissenting voices. Furthermore, on October 19, 2024, after 118 days of trial, the Hong Kong High Court sentenced 47 individuals involved in the pro-democracy primary case, accusing them of conspiracy to subvert state power. 45 of them were convicted, with sentences ranging from 4 years to 7 years and 9 months. This case is widely seen as a significant turning point in Hong Kong's pro-democracy political struggle, marking a dramatic shift in the city's political environment. The case not only affected Hong Kong's political landscape but also further strained its relations with the international community, particularly regarding freedom and democracy issues. 2024 Major News Report 13. On January 13, 2024, Lai Ching-te was elected president of Taiwan with 40% of the vote, marking the Democratic Progressive Party's third presidential term. Lai's election and the continued control of Taiwan's government by the DPP have led to increasingly tense cross-strait relations. Since Lai's inauguration, China has adopted a tougher stance towards Taiwan. The People's Liberation Army quickly began a series of military exercises, initially small-scale drills, and later, after Lai's October 10 speech in Taiwan, the PLA conducted 2 rounds of military drills around Taiwan. Although these exercises did not trigger major conflict, they further escalated military tensions in the Taiwan Strait. At the same time, Taiwan's internal political landscape has also changed. The Kuomintang, using its seat advantage in the Legislative Yuan, has cooperated with the Taiwan People's Party to push a series of policies, attempting to make adjustments to Taiwan's rule of law and constitutional order. During this process, Taiwan's democratic infrastructure faced some challenges, with certain reform measures seen as potentially undermining Taiwan's constitutional order and democratic system. Overall, Lai's election and the subsequent political and military developments across the Taiwan Strait reflect the complexity of Taiwan's internal politics, cross-strait relations, and regional security.